about to go down.
It's lovely pass, and there he turns cleverly. Can he find a finish? Oh, he can!
Skilled by Joshua, and a return right hand. Good counter right. Bullen is hurt. Second right hand. That clipped him as well. Now he goes in for the kill.
Well, Ricciardo is inching into the lead, and Ricciardo that win the Italian Grand Prix.
Gonzalo running the floor.
Still leading the way with Cameroon in there too with the Netherlands.
And Musa makes it 4 goals in 2 World Cup matches.
The Monaco Grand Prix. Ricciardo triumphant in Monza.
Through Bowden, Barrett down an early touch and an excellent.
Sports Orbit. We make the world go round.
Right, sacking Sports Minister Amaju Pinnick and also Sanusi Mohammed actually in a closed-door meeting to actually deliberate whether to keep Coach Kenneth Rohr, that is talking about the Nigerian Super Eagles coach, or for him to actually pack his bag at this point in time. Also looking at what FIBA is actually saying on the NBBF constitution, and they are saying that the constitution they stand firm with it, saying that no going back on the NBBF constitution. Also, we are going to be looking at the news, coming from the Lagos Swan Cup commencement, and also looking into boxing, and also the European club are seeking urgent talks with FIFA over the 2021 AFCON. And Ronaldo, getting to back Lamago as Manchester United head winners run against Arsenal. We thought that the palliative was going to, be shared to Arsenal, but Manchester United had other plans in that particular one. These are welcoming to yet another edition of Sports Orbit right here on the Leadership Podcast Studio. My name is Olawale Ayeni, and I'll be your host for today. Alpha is standing by to talk sports this Friday evening. He's very, very happy at this point in time. How you doing?
Good, glad to be here. Of course, I needed to be happy because, like I said palliatives were gone slowly. So, no more palliatives.
No more palliative at the Old Trafford. That is actually coming from Alpha at this point in time. But we'll go straight to our first story where Rohr sacking Sports Minister Amaju Pinnick, Mohammed Sanusi, talking about the NFF, President and the Secretary General actually met with the Sports Minister for them to actually discuss on the pending issue on Coach Kenneth Rohr at this point in time. And feelers actually coming emanating at the end of that meeting is that the Sports Ministry and NFF that they have actually agreed for them to sack Coach Kenneth Rohr. But Pinnick is saying that he needs to convey the message of the minister to the NFF executive, and in the upcoming weeks, the Sports Ministry should expect a feedback from the Pinnick-led NFF at this point in time. After looking at that meeting, do you think that meeting will actually produce anything to actually get to settle all the the rising tension emanating from the sack of Coach Kenneth Rohr before the Nations Cup?
Yeah, I think it should. This match has been on for getting to 2 weeks now since that game we played against Cape Verde. And this rumors or purported plan to sack him, the rumors have just refused to simply go away. It's been on and on. Every day there's always a new twist to it. And of course, the minister calling a closed-door meeting shows you how much more the minister is interested. And of course, as a minister of very public, he has to show that the government is fully interested in this matter. So I think we are yet to get the full details of what transpired.
The technical, report for Coach Kenneth Rohr was intensively, being discussed by the NFF and the president with the sports minister.
Yeah, so I think the point really is, if, like I've said consistently, if Kenneth Rohr is going to go, I hope in their meeting they should be talking about the severance package and all of that, because I saw in some other reports today where the NFF came out to say that there won't be any form of severance package. But I mean,
You can't work like that.
if we go that route, I mean, FIFA will be involved in the matter, and it won't speak well of our football. So
And
if
other foreign coaches,
exactly,
they
people
don't want to
will,
coach the national team.
people won't be, open to coming to coach Nigeria. So I'm not against the sacking of Rohr, but I feel that due process should be followed. If whatever was stated in his contract, when you're sacking someone in the middle of his contract, you're meant to pay him off in some sort of way. So I think all those things should be put into consideration before the final decision is taken on whether to sack him or not.
Of course, Nigeria are actually, beginning to complain about the performance of the Super Eagles under the leadership of our coach Rohr, and many Nigerians are actually calling for a sack at this point in time. Ahead of the Nations Cup that will be starting next month in Cameroon, and some of the ex-international are saying do not sack him, while some are saying sack him at this point in time. But let's see how he gets to pans out. We know that he has actually released the 40-man list to cap. He has sent the 40-man list to cap at this point in time, and hopefully we should get to hear from the NFF, giving the feedback to the minister and also making an official statement if whether or not Rohr will actually retain the job going into the Nations Cup. But away from that, we head straight to basketball at this point in time, where FIBA, talking about Federation of International Basketball Association, has declared that it will not accept any amendment on the 2019 Nigerian Basketball Federation's constitution in that particular one. In the letter addressed to the sports minister, FIFA is saying that they stand behind that particular constitution, and that they have set that 30th of January the Nigerian Basketball Federation must actually get to hold their election before the end of January. That is talking about 2022. Alpha, looking at the leadership crisis that has been rocking in Nigerian basketball ever since in the 2017 up to this point. Do you think that the sports ministry will actually obey the rules and regulations actually not coming from FIBA at this point in time, or they will just want to do what you know them to actually do at every given point?
I think they need to obey the NBBF constitution. Like I said previously, some days ago on this show, as long as FIBA is concerned, Kida remains president at this moment. So the interference by the Ministry of Sports has been very, very less than pleasant, because this crisis started a long time ago. At the point it seemed that the ministry had taken a certain position, then all of a sudden we're hearing of different interferences. If you recall, I think last month or so they called for a reconciliatory meeting. Till date, we are yet to hear any feedback from what transpired in that meeting. Is it like the parties who were supposed to be on that reconciliatory team refused to convey the meeting, or what? We are yet to hear anything like that. So I think it's time the NFF, the Ministry of Sport at this point should just let the NBBF constitution run, let the elections hold, and let's see what comes of that election. Because as long as FIBA is concerned, they insist that they are not going to accept any change in the constitution in 2019. Why is it that is when elections are coming up that they are trying to tinker with the constitution? Just leave the constitution as it is from 2019. Let a new executive body comes in, and if they feel there should be an amendment, then they can go ahead and do it, but not trying to amend the constitution shortly before an election.
According to the letter, they said regarding the participation of the national team in FIFA 2023 World Cup African qualifier, FIBA confirmed that NBBF holds the obligation to manage the affairs of the national team independently and without the influence of third parties. But you saw them actually going to Angola with the sports ministry taking charge. Why didn't FIBA actually send a letter out to actually condemn that particular move by the sports ministry?
Well, I think for most of the time of this crisis has lasted, I think FIBA has just been on the sidelines watching and waiting to see what will happen. Well, I don't know why at that point they didn't really step into the matter when Ministry of Sports took the thing, or even when we organized a competition here by the Ministry of Sport and all of that.
Super.
Exactly. FIBA had nothing to say then, but I think for them, I think FIBA wants this crisis to be quickly resolved as soon as possible. Of course, they've given us up to 31st of January to ensure that elections are held, and if that is not done, of course, we all know that they're threatening to suspend or place some sanctions on Nigeria if we default by 31st of January and don't hold any election. So, but I think it's commendable that FIBA is interested in the crisis happening, because when you talk of basketball in Africa, I mean, even at the world at large now, Nigeria is a force to reckon with, and of course, we have a lot of stars who come from the NBA to don the national team colors just to represent the country. So I think FIBA too want this crisis to, be resolved so that at least they can continue to develop and grow the game here in Nigeria.
Of course, let's wait and see how that gets out to pans out. Since the FIBA has actually notified the sports ministry that the election of NBBF must actually get to hold before 30th of January. So let's see if they will actually come up with a date, or maybe they will get to because we know in the last date it was the sports minister that said fix your election within this time frame. But it was the same sports minister that actually came out and said suspend the election, don't go on in the election. So let's see how it goes. Let's see if they will actually tell the federation to suspend or go on with the election before the 30th of January 2022 that has been given by FIBA as that window for us to hold our election. But let's see how it gets pans out. Away from that, we are straight to the news coming in from Lagos at this point in time, where Lagos Swan Cup commends with them getting this is the normal ritual every year. At the end of the year, they get to host like a Swan Week for the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria Lagos chapter. At this point in time, they have begun the activities with some week-long events, veterans in sport who will be actually be competing in football events and in some other events in that particular one. Also, interestingly, they have a whole lot of sponsors in that particular one. Alpha, I know you are very, very interested in this particular story.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the story, I was, happy and at the same time a bit sad, because, I mean, this is Lagos One, and you can see the kind of people who are lining up to sponsor, their own Swan Cup. But coming down here to our own case in Abuja here, since our own Swan here had some elections a couple of months back, the Swan Abuja chapter is yet to know any peace, because there are two different factions in Swan as we speak currently, and there's no unity among sport writers in Abuja. So how do we present a common front to properly organize any competition? Because when you go out to reach out to some certain corporate bodies, the question they ask is, which of this one are you talking about? Because there are two factions, and I don't think anybody wants to deal with a body that has two factions, because you could deal with this one, then the next day another will come up and say, no, we are the real ones, those ones were fake. So whatever you did for them, you just wasted your money and your time. So I think it's high time that this one, I'm using this medium to call on the two factions. I wouldn't want to mention it, but I'm calling on the two factions to find a way of coming together to resolve this issue, so that Swan Abuja chapter can forge ahead. Because, I mean, if Lagos chapter is organizing this competition, look at the kind of sponsors.
10 major, we don't want to call their names.
Yeah, sure.
About 10
very
major
sponsors. I mean, sometimes even the FA Cup Nigeria does not even get this
of
course. And this is just one. So that will tell you the importance of sports writers when it comes to sports development in Nigeria. So for this kind of corporate bodies to even want to align to be a part of this tournament shows a lot. Tells you a lot of how strong the Lagos Swan chapter is. So I really think that here in Abuja also we need to close ranks and come with a united front to move the body ahead in this town.
Of course, they're saying that a divided house cannot actually stand. So it's that time, I know for both parties, like for me, I would say for both parties to just actually step down
Exactly. I think basically it's just ego problems.
Let actually usher
Exactly.
a new
Yeah.
election. In that in Swan in FCT for me, I think that would be the best way
I
to
think so
actually
too.
move the association forward. But going, we'll take a short break. When we come back, I was talking about Anthony Joshua. Also, European club are actually parleying with FIFA over the Nations Cup in Cameroon. Are they saying that players should not go or they should actually ship the Nations Cup? These are many more will be coming your way after this short break. Don't go nowhere. Welcome from that short break. This is Sports Orbit right here on the Leadership Podcast studio. At this point in time, the Klitschko brothers a manager talking about Boente attacks Anthony Joshua to actually follow the example of Louis with some US boxers in that particular. But Alpha, looking at Anthony Joshua at this point in time, we know he's not in his best shape. We saw him lost his world title belt, and at this point in time, he's looking forward to actually reclaim those belts. But what is the best thing Anthony Joshua can actually do now at this point in time?
What you need, I mean, we had some feedback after that fight not long ago that he was in the process of digging his technical team. Of course, different people have suggested different coaches for him at the point. Even Mike Tyson, yeah, exactly. So now a former manager of the Klitschko brothers, Boente, has urged him to, follow the footsteps of former British heavyweight Lennox Lewis in, bringing on the services of some American, trainers. It's believed that generally when it comes to boxing,
the Americans are better.
They have it. It's their sport. I mean, they may actually make the sport popular and very lucrative. So it's just an advice asking him to spend time with some, boxing greats, and that could add something extra to his game. Even recently in a report, he said that he yet to recover from that defeat to Usyk. So that shows to tell you that
can he
really
actually reclaim his belt from Usyk? Is it possible at this point?
Yeah, anything is possible, but from what I saw in that first fight, I know if he puts up that kind of performance again, he'll still be beating once again. So I think he really needs to step his game up, improve tremendously for him to have any chance of reclaiming those belts, because you know how this boxing goes. Once this rematch happens and he loses the belt, I mean
that's over.
That's over. From there you'll be downhill for him, and it'll be very difficult. I mean, for someone to just take 3 belts off of you in just one fight is not an easy thing to take. So I think he really needs all the help he can get at this point in time to ensure that he regain back his titles.
Of course, let's say if Anthony Joshua can actually retain can actually claim back his title from Usyk at this point in time. But hopefully, we've not been sure yet when that match would actually come up. But it's expected that Anthony Joshua gets to fight the Ukrainian boxer but a chance for him to actually claim his belt and even win more belts in that particular fight that will be coming up. Of course, we return straight to football at this point in time, where European clubs are seeking urgent talks with FIFA over Nations Cup in Cameroon. They are saying the safety of the players, they can actually guarantee the safety of the player due to the emergence of the new variant of the COVID-19 at this point in time around the world. But looking at it, this is another plot just to ensure that African players do not go and represent their country in the AFCON, Nations Cup. But for me, it's not going to happen. Those players must need to go back and represent, their country. But Alpha, in a statement, according to them, they're saying the board agreed to engage urgently with FIFA to ensure that unnecessary precautions are in place to protect players' club interests as the health situation continues to deteriorate in an alarming manner. At this point in time, they're just trying to play together.
I'm sure they're just using this COVID thing as an excuse because if you know in the past couple of weeks, a lot of teams, even some coaches,
top profile players
have come out to say some nasty things about AFCON. Of course, you know how the football game has evolved. A lot of these European players know what's coming. Without their African players, some of them will actually be nowhere. So they just want to hold on to these players by all means and do everything possible to ensure that their star players do not go for the AFCON. A lot of them feel, when these players are away on international duty and club engagements are still going, they know that, of course, the possibility of dropping points and, of course, eventually winning silverware will be slim. So they're trying to do everything. Now they're trying to twist FIFA actually into finding a way of, invading the matter. And of course, we know that the ECA is one of the most powerful blocks when it comes to football, and we all know the respect and reverence even FIFA has for the ECA. So I think they're just want to use their influence to twist FIFA into pressurizing CAF at this point to either maybe shift the date of the AFCON or call it off completely. Exactly. Don't forget that this AFCON was supposed to be held last year.
Yes.
But because of the COVID, it was moved until this year. So now the ECA is trying to come up with another plot again to destabilize the AFCON. I think FIFA should do the right thing, allow this competition hold. If we are saying, okay, it's shifting a bit, well, you could make a case for that, but an outright cancellation will not offer well for the game at all.
Of course, they are much concerned about the date for the games because the AFCON is starting January 9th to run to February 6th, and we know international window elsewhere is actually starting from 24th of January to the 2nd or the 1st of February. I know that the likes of the Bundesliga will actually go on break in that particular same for the Spanish league, but other leagues will actually continue to run other games. But players will just want to go and represent their country because they don't have the choice. They don't have the choice. They need to actually go back and represent their country. But we hope that the Cameroon, organizers are very, very ready to host, those players because we know that more contingents will be coming in for the Nations Cup. It's no longer 23-man squad. It is a 28-man squad, coupled with some officials and also some fans, some media men who are actually going for Cameroon for that particular interesting mouth-watering African showpiece. But away from that, we head straight to the foreign scene at this point in time. Let's actually look at what really went down yesterday in the English Premiership, where Manchester United actually, after 5 games without getting to win Arsenal for the very first time, they actually did all the magic right there at the Old Trafford, and they defeated Arsenal 3-2. The game that actually went down before that game, talking about the game between Tottenham and Brentford, it ended in the favor of Antonio Conte's side. They actually won that match at 2-0. Quickly, Alpha, looking at what really went down yesterday.
Interesting game. Like I said, while we're previewing that match, I expected
A bizarre goal that was scored yesterday.
A tough encounter. Yeah, I mean, of course, Arsenal opened the scoring with
A bizarre
goal who really don't understand. But of course, VAR ruled it for a goal. But clearly, when the ball hit the net, the keeper was clearly not
on his feet.
He was written in pain and all of that. But according to what we heard was that the whistle went after the ball was in the net, so VAR had to count as a goal. But nice fight from United. They had to come back with eventually win the game 3-2. And of course, the earlier game, Tottenham Brentford, also interesting game. Of course, we all know that Brentford has been a very difficult side, very difficult to break down. But Tottenham and Conte, of course, I think is gradually getting the job done. They came away 2-0 in that one, and that has propelled them to the 6th position. At the point it was looking like the season was going to be a terrible one for Tottenham. Gradually, I think they are getting back into their stride. So I think it was a nice encounter, and of course, we are already in the December season where games get to be played every 2 or 3 days. And of course, this weekend also we'll be looking forward to some mouth-watering encounters.
Of course, it's going to be a mouth-watering encounter this weekend, starting from tomorrow, where we are going to be seeing West Ham against Chelsea, Newcastle against, of course, the London Derby in the particular one, Newcastle against Burnley, Southampton versus Brighton, Wolves versus Liverpool, Watford versus Manchester City. Will Emmanuel Dennis get to score against Manchester City? Wait and see. Tomorrow, Tottenham against Norwich City, Leeds versus Brentford, Manchester United versus Crystal Palace, Aston Villa versus Leicester. For me, then the big one will be Everton versus Arsenal. That will come up on Monday at night. Quickly, the fixtures before we call it a day.
I think the West Ham Chelsea match will be a match to look out for. We all know the way West Ham has been playing, throughout this season. They've also been a top side, still in the top 4. And of course, the Everton Arsenal match will be one to look out for also. Then of course, Aston Villa will be up against Leicester City. Steven Gerrard will be up against his former coach, in that one. So that will be one to actually look out for also. So interesting games coming up for the weekend.
Of course, looking at the stands at this point in time, Chelsea, number 1 in the English Premiership after 14 games. They have actually gathered 33 points. Manchester City followed just 1 point, separating both sides with 32 points. Liverpool are in 3rd with 31 points. West Ham, 24 points, followed by Arsenal, with 23 points in the 5th position. Spurs in 5th position for Arsenal. Spurs in 6th with 22 points, just 1 point separating them and Arsenal. And then Manchester United, with that victory, they have actually climbed from 10th position to number 7th position on the log. And looking at the bottom 3, Burnley 10 points from 13 games. Norwich City, 10 points from 14 games also. While Newcastle are yet to win a match this season, they have just 7 points from 14 games. So hopefully, we should get this table getting to change this weekend.
Definitely.
Going forward.
Some changes in the table this at the end of match week 14.
Of course, this is where we draw the curtain for Sports Orbit for this week. It has been nice, talking sports with Alpha actually right here in the studio.
Pleasure to be here.
Of course, our viewers, it has been nice having you guys stick around with us through from the beginning of the week to this point. We'll make a return next week on Monday, big and better, with yet another edition of Sports Orbit. Thanks to my producer, Oscar, Daniel, and Celestine. From me, Olawale Ayen, I'm saying bye-bye for now. Do enjoy the rest of your day and also the weekends. Bye-bye. See you on Monday.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.